A bill that would help Illinois property owners remove squatters is on the governor's desk. Reaction from a local landlord to the proposed new law. Plus, a coffee business founded in Rockford showcased on the national stage. Walmart's new ad campaign featuring fire department coffee. And a Loves Park grocery store will close up shop after nearly 20 years. What the closure means for employees of Valley Produce.
Live from WTVO 17. This is Eyewitness News at 5.
Good evening. I'm Mimi Murphy. Wendell is off tonight. A new bill awaiting a signature from Governor Pritzker aims to make it easier for property owners to remove squatters. Eyewitness News reporter Blake Deeds spoke with officials from the Rockford Apartment Association. He joins us now. Blake, there's a lot of support for this legislation.
Yeah, Senate Bill 1563, also known as the Squatter Bill, received nearly universal approval from the Illinois legislature. A local housing official I spoke with shared that statement. Paul Arena, who serves as the director of the Rockford Apartment Association, says law enforcement tends to opt to going through the legal system to evict squatters. But he says that process to get a court order can take months. Once signed by Governor J.B. Pritzker, the bill will clarify existing procedures, allowing law enforcement to better enforce criminal trespass and prevent interference with removing a criminal trespasser.
It's good for property owners, but it's also good for people in neighborhoods, because if somebody is the type of person who are going to illegally gain access and control of somebody else's property, they're not good people. And they're not people who are going to be taking care of the property or be good neighbors. So nobody wants them there. It's not good for anybody, the neighborhood or the property owners.
Now, not everybody is a supporter of the bill, though. I spoke with one local legislator who voted no on the bill. You can hear from him coming up at 6. Mimi.
All right, thanks, Blake. Dixon police arrest an 18-year-old following a shooting this morning. Shortly before 4:30, officers were called to Tilton Park Drive in Dixon, where witnesses say several gunshots were fired in a field behind their homes. Police say they found Kyron Lotman in the area of the shooting. Lotman was arrested and now faces multiple firearm charges. Authorities say more charges are possible. The investigation is still ongoing. 3 men are facing weapon charges in connection to a weekend shooting in Rockford. Giovanni Guillen Gonzalez, Douglas Vargas Pineda, and Sanson Elijah Deacon Rojas all face multiple weapon charges. Around 11:45 last night, Rockford Scope officers pulled over a car near Horse Avenue and Elm Street. Driver of the car was suspected to be involved in a shooting on West 8 earlier that night. Officers say they saw multiple loaded handguns with modified attachments in the car. The 3 were booked into the Winnebago County Jail. A Rockford drug dealer will spend over 15 years in prison. The Winnebago County State's attorney announced Will Robinson is sentenced to 17 years in prison. He must also serve 18 months on parole afterwards. Last August, officials say they pulled Robinson over at Sandy Hollow and 8th Street. Police say they found several bags of methamphetamine in the car. Robinson was found guilty of possession with intent to deliver back in February. Crews worked to put out a fire at a vacant house early this morning. Just after 1 a.m., Rockford Fire responded to South 3rd Street to find heavy smoke and flames coming from the building. It took almost a half hour to put out the fire. Officials say the property was already vacant, marked with a red X. That sign indicates the structure's unsafe. No one was hurt. Damage is estimated at $30,000. A local coffee business is put in the national spotlight. Fire Department Coffee is featured in Walmart's Who Knew campaign. The ad celebrates the growth of small American-owned businesses. In 2024, the company's product was rolled out in Walmart stores nationwide. A grant presentation by the 2 companies to support local firefighters was also held today, something Fire Department Coffee's founder says means the world to him.
Through Fire Department Coffee and our mission, we're able to not only support our fellow firefighters and first responders, but America's able to support firefighters through Fire Department Coffee and show all of the firefighters that, you know, America supports them. And we're so grateful to be a part of the firefighter community.
Fire Department Coffee was founded in Rockford in 2016. Valley Produce announces it will close its Loves Park location next month. A spokesperson confirmed to Eyewitness News today, citing a decrease in customers at the North Alpine store. Employees will be consolidated to the Rockford location on East 8. The grocery chain has opted out of its Loves Park location, has operated out of it since 2007. The closure is set to take place August 4th. Hurricane Harbor reopened its gates today. The former Magic Waters Park had been closed for over a week due to storm damage. The park says 3 rides, Typhoon Terror, Tidal Wave, and Wipeout, will remain closed for repairs. Any single-day tickets dated for when the park was closed will be honored on any day this season. Hurricane Harbor is located just off of I-90 in Cherry Valley. Local drivers are paying a bit less for gas this week. In Rockford, the average cost per gallon of gasoline is $3.23. That's according to a survey by Gas Buddy. That's over 2.5 cents less than last week and over 43 cents lower than this time last year. Experts don't expect prices to deviate much as we enter August. You can find a map of most stations in the area and their prices on our website, mystateline.com. A judge delivers a sentence against the former CEO of ComEd. When we come back, the fate of Ann Parmigioro following her conviction as part of a multi-year bribery scheme. And coming up tonight at 6, state officials asking for help tracking any armadillos in northern Illinois. The research being done to determine the possible cause of these critters' northbound trek.
And some of that heat will be on a northward trend here over the next couple of days. Today, not so much. We made it into the low 80s, falling just a bit below that average high of 84, but the numbers will climb. Find out how long some of that heat will stick around and how hot it could feel. All coming up in the First Warn forecast a little later.
You're watching Eyewitness News, your home team, with Mimi Murphy, Wendell Edwards, Sports Director Scott Leber, and Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
The former CEO of ComEd was sentenced to prison today for her role in a scheme to bribe former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Ann Parmigioro is the second of the so-called ComEd 4 to receive a sentence in the case that brought down one of the most powerful politicians in Illinois. Sean Lewis has details.
Good evening. Federal prosecutors wanted nearly 6 years in prison for Ann Parmigioro. In the end, though, the judge decided that and the federal sentencing guidelines went too far. He settled on 2 years in prison for the former CEO of ComEd. In a black dress and flipped out bob haircut, Ann Parmigioro took her final steps before learning her fate. For more than 7 years, she led Illinois' largest electric utility company, ComEd. More than 2 years ago now, a federal jury found Parmigioro and her 3 co-defendants, Michael McLean, John Hooker, and Jay Doherty, together known as the ComEd 4, guilty in a bribery scheme that also took down former Illinois House Speaker Michael Madigan. Investigators claim the ComEd 4 cooked up a plot to influence Madigan on legislation by paying his allies a total of $1.3 million over 8 years off the books for do-nothing consulting contracts. Last week, Hooker was handed an 18-month sentence and a $500,000 fine. McLean and Doherty will be sentenced in the next 2 weeks. Last month, the disgraced Madigan received a 7.5-year sentence and a $2.5 million fine. Federal Judge Manish Shah Monday calling the scheme secretive, sophisticated criminal corruption, telling Parmigioro, quote, "You had the power to stop this. You could have said, no, this is not how legislation should be done," adding, "I understand that securing influence with Mr. Madigan made business sense, but when it came to Mr. Madigan and Mr. McLean, you didn't think to change the culture of corruption. Instead, you were all in," handing the former CEO a 24-month sentence and a $750,000 fine.
That was Sean Lewis reporting. Parmigioro is scheduled to report to prison in December. Her attorney says they plan to appeal the case. We could be in for some extreme heat later this week. When we come back, Candace tells us what we can expect in her forecast. It's coming up next.
Now, your First Warn weather forecast from Chief Meteorologist Candace King.
Our Our temperatures today have been fairly comfortable. Most of us staying in the upper 70s and low 80s. We're back up to 81 right now in Rockford with a heat index of 83, 80 currently in Freeport, 81 in Janesville, 80 in Woodstock, and 79 our current temperature in Rochelle. So not terribly hot out there, but that heat and that humidity over the next 24 to 48 hours expected to climb, which will push the heat index up over 100 to 105 and perhaps even 110 degrees. All thanks to the climb in our dew point numbers. Today, it's been somewhat comfortable. Anytime you start to get over that 65-degree range, you start to notice that humidity beginning to creep in. And once you get up to 70 and anything beyond 70, it just feels very uncomfortable out there. And that climb is something that can be expected here over the next couple of days. We've had plenty of cloud cover out there, though, along with some of that haze from the Canadian wildfire smoke here throughout much of the day. Maybe a little sunshine intermixed with those mostly cloudy skies, but the cloud cover expected to stick around as we go through the rest of tonight, which will keep our temperatures up for some. Wanted to point out these dew point numbers. In fact, that humidity going up as our dew point temperatures climb as well. Tomorrow we'll be in the low 70s, but by Wednesday, Thursday, most of us will be in the mid 70s, even pushing the upper 70s, especially if we can get that evapotranspiration, which comes from the corn crop and the surrounding corn fields. That is at its peak right now as the corn is tasseling, especially in those open and rural areas. You may notice more of that humidity. So some dangerous heat coming up, especially when you don't get much relief from that during the night. So in anticipation of the rise in the heat and humidity, an extreme heat watch has been issued for northern Illinois and southern Wisconsin. This will go into effect Wednesday morning and will run through Thursday. Most likely that will turn into a heat advisory, which isn't a downgrade. An extreme heat watch is something to say, hey, heads up, this is coming. Let's put this on your radar. And then that heat advisory with those heat index numbers of at least 105. And as I mentioned, some areas could be approaching 110. So let's kind of put this all together, because there's one little wrinkle that could limit some of that heat if we were to see that come to fruition. Right now, Futurecast keeps us fairly quiet, not only through the night tonight, but also into the day tomorrow. Notice, though, this complex of thunderstorms working in from the west late tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow evening. Overall, that should be on a weakening trend. There's a little ripple in the jet stream that comes through Tuesday night into Wednesday. Futurecast gives us a couple of very light showers Wednesday morning and then pushes all of that activity up to the north. There are some models that are indicating that maybe that heat would be delayed a little bit, and the reason for that is if we see more than just a few showers. Let's say if we get a couple of thunderstorms, that may stick around and delay the arrival of that warm front on Wednesday. If not, then Wednesday gets very hot. Thunderstorms up to the northwest will be weakening Wednesday night, but an outflow boundary overnight Wednesday into Thursday will help reinforce kind of this cold front that'll work closer to us on Thursday. So we may have a better chance of some showers and thunderstorms there as we head into Thursday afternoon and then Thursday night as that front comes through. But notice our temperatures, 86 on Tuesday, low 90s Wednesday, Thursday, and that's when that heat index will be fairly high as well. So if you're heading out to the Stevenson County Fair, which kicks off tomorrow, not only do we have some of the heat, but we also have some thunderstorm chances. Fair season and heat and humidity always seem to go hand in hand. Temperatures, though, I think even as we get into the weekend, Mimi, will stay close to 90 degrees.
All right, thanks, Candace. And as she just mentioned, she will bring us her forecast live from the Stevenson County Fair. She'll be joined by Wendell at the fairgrounds in Freeport, so be sure to tune in for all the summer fun at 4, 5, and 6 tomorrow. Scott's in next with sports. He says the Cubs might be ready to pull the trigger on a major trade or two. He'll have the latest on who they're targeting.
Now sports with sports director Scott Lever.
If you think the Cubs roster is strong now, it might be even stronger a little over a week from now. From the sounds of things, they could be all in on this season and making a run at a championship. The trade deadline is next Thursday, and according to The Athletic, the Cubs are very interested in Diamondbacks third baseman Eugenio Suarez. He's having a fabulous season. He has 35 home runs and 85 RBIs. Imagine adding that bat to a lineup that already ranks third in the major leagues in home runs. Suarez would cost a lot, starting with hot prospect Owen Casey. But the Cubs might feel like this is the year to go for it, since Kyle Tucker will be testing the free agent market this winter. Suarez also will be a free agent after this season. The Cubs are also looking for more pitching help. The Brewers are keeping the pressure on the Cubs to make moves and try to improve, because the Brewers are on a 10-game winning streak. They just swept another series from the Dodgers for the second time in just over a week, and they pulled even with the Cubs for first place in the National League Central. The Brewers will play in Seattle tonight, while the Cubs host the Royals. Things are looking up for the White Sox. They played .500 ball with the last 10 games. They're in Tampa tonight. And some guys that they're likely to trade before next Thursday are playing well, increasing their trade value. One is Michael Tauchman. A lot of teams would like to add him to strengthen their bench. He had a couple more hits yesterday, including a home run against the Pirates. He also drove in 3 runs. Luis Robert Jr. also has been swinging the bat better. Adrian Hauser is another guy that the White Sox are likely to deal. Well, Bears veterans are due to report to Hallis Hall tomorrow for training camp, and the Bears might be adding another receiver. Free agent DJ Chark just visited with management. DJ Moore is the only veteran receiver the Bears have. Romo Dunze is only in his second year, and Luther Burden III is a rookie, and he's been dealing with an injury. So the Bears could use another proven guy. Clark has bounced around the league the last few seasons, but in 2019 with the Jaguars, he hauled in 73 passes for more than 1,000 yards. Corey Anderson is riding high again after earning another big win in the cage over the weekend in South Africa. The Rockton native made his Pro Fighters League debut, and he dominated former heavyweight champion Dennis Goltsoff, winning by a second-round TKO. So what's next for Corey? Well, he's still pushing for a rematch with Vadim Nemkov. Nemkov is the last fighter to defeat Corey. That was in November of 2022 at Wintrust Arena in Chicago. That's sports. We'll be right back.
Well, we got the cloud cover and the haze still out there this evening, but our radar stays pretty dry. Brought to us by Rockford Glass and More. Down to 66 tonight, 86 tomorrow. Heat index in the low 90s tomorrow, but climbing over 100 Wednesday, Thursday.
All right. Thanks, Candace. And thanks so much for watching. We'll see you again at 6.